We're counting down the top 7 rides at Efteling, a theme park in the Netherlands that is considered to be one of the best in the world by many. It has thrilling rides, a lot of unique charm, a fairy tale interactive area, and plenty of dark rides. So let's dive in and see what made the list. Coming in at number 7, but would come in at number 1 on the hardest ride names to pronounce, I'm going to try it here, Vliegende Hollander. It's a unique water hybrid coaster. Starts with a very well themed queue at indoor station area. Once you board your boat, and now it feels like a typical water ride, like a Pirates of the Caribbean, floats through a couple scenes before going up a coaster lift section with a full couple coaster elements, hills. This is all kind of back behind the ride building, so it starts inside then goes outside before coming around the corner here and splashing down into the lake in the middle of the park. This looks so cool. You wouldn't expect a ride to just end up in this lake that's in the back area of the park. Not a big water ride guy, but you don't get that wet, so thumbs up for me. Coming in at number 6, another one that's hard to say, Droomvlucht. This ride is interesting for a few reasons. First being, it's a suspended dark ride system, something you don't see very often. And second being the ride's theme. It's weird. Park's website describes it as unicorns and fairies. And that's basically what it is. I'm sure there's some storyline here that I was not able to pick up on, but it's just a lot of brightly colored fairy scenes. Stick with me, the video I know is a little dark, but it does get a little bit better. The ending's kind of this giant helix circle around this very colorful fairy tale-like setting. Overall, its uniqueness is probably what got it the spot on the list, being a suspended ride and just being very colorful. At number 5, we have Fata Morgana. The simplest way to describe this ride is an Arabian version of Pirates of the Caribbean. They sit in boats, there's a catchy song, though without words. Several scenes feel very familiar. Take a look. The ending's kind of anticlimactic there. It's very like flashy and bright and then just kind of ends. But it is a really fun ride. The wooden coaster, which name translates to George and the Dragon, is a racing GCI. The two sides are very similar. So here I'm going to show some clips from the ride. It's a really awesome wooden roller coaster. Smooth, lots of air times. And notice this flag up there. That actually indicates who won the race. Neat little detail. Flags in the station also lower to indicate who won. Another great detail. Baron 1898. If you just looked up the stats, you'd think it's a very typical mid-sized B&M dive coaster. But what makes it so high up on this list is actually its awesome theme. You saw the lift hill there. There's a neat pre-show before you board the ride. Didn't film that. And then once you're on the ride, there's another pre-show before going up a pretty themed lift. And the ride's a lot of fun as well. Let's take a ride. Coming in as runner-up is what might set Efteling apart from most other major parks, the Fairy Tale Forest. This is a large, unique area where fairy book tales come to life. There's everything from walk-through houses and scenes from famous fairy tales, some that you might recognize, some that you might not. A lot of it's animated too, a lot of moving props or voices coming from some of the characters in some of these areas, to big, large areas like this, where there was miniature kind of shows and events going on in all the different corners. Now, this is an area that you could spend a little bit of time and you could walk through, but it really takes some time to properly absorb it. This area being shown on the screen right now, you can see there's this guy floating along. This was part of maybe a 10-minute long show. So what you'll hear a lot of folks say is you could spend a couple hours there. Some folks say it takes all day, but it's something very unique. Quick disclaimer, Efteling is a great park. Even has this Vekoma that's surprisingly good and almost made the list, or this Small World style knockoff that's a pretty good dark ride. So don't take this as Efteling only has 7 great rides. There's a lot of rides at this park that are just really good, and it was hard to narrow it down. We also visited right before Dance Macabre launched, the awesome looking new dark ride, which I'm sure would make the list in future years. And at number 1 should be no surprise, Symbolica. This ride, as you can see, looks amazing, just even outside during the day, during at night. This giant castle structure that sits on top of the hill, on top of the show building. It's a trackless ride system that's totally immersive. There's 3 different cars once you load in. It gives you slightly different experiences. This is one of the rooms right here where it gives you a little bit different experience if you're in, depending on what car you're in. So you can ride it 3 different times and get 3 slightly different experiences. But overall, this ride just has a great colorful theme and feel to the ride. It's very fun, very exciting. Let's take a look at one of the main scenes here. The ride gets bonus points because there's this super wacky and quite delicious pancake restaurant just out front of the ride that kind of ties into the overall theme. So did you agree with the list? Let me know in the comments what you think. Efteling's a really great park, arguably one of the best, so it's hard to narrow down the top attractions there. And they're going to just continue to add new rides like we see with the new dark ride that is open recently. While there's a lot of world-class rides, what really makes the park is just walking around. So I want to add that to this video here at the end is make sure when you go to Efteling, you're not just going for the rides. You're leaving yourself some time to walk around and experience. There's a lot of small park charm, even though it's a giant park. Some spots feel very amusement park-esque, while other spots feel very much like a neighborhood or city park. So make sure you give yourself proper time at Efteling to see all the great rides, to see all the great charm and areas throughout the park. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We got a lot more European park content on the channel.